Hey everybody, Mike with Games Play Badly, and today is a really special episode. It's our 30th. I can't believe it. 30 episodes. Today we have a really great guest. His name is Bruce, and he's with a non-for-profit called TableTop Alliance. And we talk about all sorts of things in this video, but the crux of it is he helps supply games to children's groups, whether they be game clubs or school systems. He and his organization also use gaming for team building skills in the adult world and all sorts of other cool things. So I can't wait for you to get to meet him. As always, I have my Dungeon Glitch t-shirt on. This one's actually kind of cool. I'll stand up so you can see it. Death saving throw, yep. Dungeon Glitch has been an amazing supporter. Matt is a fantastic person. So if you like cool t-shirts and you want to go check them out, go to gemfirefly.com and take a look and see what is available. I mean, there's new designs popping up every day. Use our discount code BADLY15, BADLY 15 at checkout for 15% off your order. Episode 30 is coming at you. That interview starts now. Oh, I almost forgot. Since it's our 30th episode, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway. So when you watch this video, click the like button, comment below, and you'll be automatically entered to get something amazing from one of our great creators. Whether it's dice or a gift card somewhere or maybe some jewelry, who knows? But you got to like the video and you've got to comment below. And if you haven't hit that little subscribe button, click it now. Hey Bruce, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's really happy to be talking to you today, and really excited about this interview.
Well, thanks for coming on. And you know, this is kind of a weird thing for you because normally I get a lot of my interviews from Twitter, but kind of an ad for Tabletop Alliance showed up within my Facebook feed.
Plot twist. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we are on Facebook and Instagram, looking to move to Twitter in the future.
Okay.
It's one of those capacity things, but so glad that you were able to find us. And hey, things happen for a reason.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it was so funny. I looked at I kind of looked through your website. I'm like, I need to interview these guys because this is exactly what I'm talking about. And for everybody who's watching, I've been talking about doing an educational series of my videos regarding or kind of involving gaming because I'm a big proponent of it. And it turns out that Tabletop Alliance and I have a connection, which is you donated games to a game club in Riverside, Iowa. Go Bulldogs. And Mr. Jeff and Mr. Swotek are they kind of run that whole thing. And I talked to them. I said, hey, I'm talking to this guy from Tabletop Alliance. Like, yeah, they donated games to us this year. I was like, that's awesome. So here we are.
And I'm so thankful that Mr. Swotek connected you with you and shared about everything. Yeah, we were so happy to be able to provide them with a RPG kit this year. So that involves some of the D&D books, dice, and more. And he sent me a beautiful photo of some of the kids playing. And I got to just give a shout out to them and the great job they're doing, because I believe he had something like 60 students sign up for the game club before it even launched. And so seriously, great job to them. And we're happy to support them. And that's what we're here to do.
Well, that's fantastic. As a matter of fact, I think the game club is up to like 80 members now or something.
Oh, wow. I love hearing that. That's so great.
Yeah, they play all sorts of. We've donated some games to them as well, and I'm a huge proponent of children playing games. I think it's change worthy. You know, I mean, it really does affect how children develop. So, why don't you tell me more about Tabletop Alliance?
Sure. So, Tabletop Alliance is a 501c3 nonprofit, completely volunteer run. I'm doing this completely pro bono with friends and community members across the US. And essentially what we're here to do is equip educators and community leaders. So we already talked about the classroom, but let's also think about the communities of students that can be outside the classroom, such as a Boys and Girls Club, a Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and other related programs, and really helping equip them and, more importantly, develop them with the capacity to use games to further their outcomes, because there's a lot of research that shows the impact that games can have. However, many aren't really exposed to that or have had that capacity or opportunity, like us gamers have had, to really enjoy and get the benefits of this wonderful, wonderful hobby and experience. And so what we're here to do is essentially if you teach a man to fish, right, or if you
Yeah,
just
right.
fish for them, let's do both, but through the power of games across the U.S.
It's fantastic. I mean, not only that, but I mean, I was looking through some of your events. You're doing team building skills through gaming with corporations as well, or through with other organizations outside of education.
We are. And so that comes from many of our backgrounds. So many of our board members and supporters have a background in leadership development and curriculum and facilitation. So personally for me, I actually am completing a PhD in human resource development. So how organizations work with people, how do we train them, how do we evaluate things, and how do we bring out the best in others? And so, what we're doing is applying those same things from an educational lens into these corporate settings to do a couple things. One, raise funds for the nonprofit, raise awareness for the power of games, and then also just enhance the power and of games and spread that across the U.S. So it's been something really cool that we're able to do. Actually, just last week had one for a local. It is our drill team. So coming from New York, I wasn't familiar with drill teams before, but in Texas, it's a thing. Drill teams for the football team and otherwise. And they brought me in. It was 8 in the morning for this one class, and we went through a couple different games to increase their skills around communication. To give those students, it was 30 different students, the opportunity to talk through some challenges that they were going through as a group, and I've just been happy to help them.
It's wonderful. So now, I mean, from the standpoint of games that you donate, how to this point, how many organizations have you actually helped so far?
Sure. So we got remember the different kinds of help, right? So the
Sure, sure.
direct support,
Right.
but then there's also the raising the voices of those who are doing great work, and also helping coach up and develop others who are wanting to use it.
Mhm.
To date, in 2021, we've sent out more than 70 games,
Oh, wow.
which is really, really happy to share that. It's been so wonderful. But more than that, we've been also doing some educational sessions on our YouTube, and then also some just pro bono consulting for others who are working in their classrooms in those capacities too. So one example of that is working with a community college professor at Austin Community College who teaches a 2 semester course on climate change. And so the students took that fall course, and then the spring course, he wanted them to apply that learning and be able to share their learning through games. And so I worked with her and her students to actually create different games. So the students created games with the intended audience of being able to teach someone who is in K-12. And
Wow.
so it's really cool and a really great opportunity to do that. So we've provided more than 70 games already this year, but we've also facilitated a lot of other things too in a cool way.
Yeah, I think the concept is fantastic. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it outside of the educational sphere, but I totally get the application when it comes to team building and um, everything else that entails outside of necessarily an educational system, but a corporate environment as well.
Hmm.
So that's fantastic. So how's the PhD going?
The PhD is going great. Thank you for asking. It's been a journey. They sit you down for the first day of orientation and they say, "Here's the deal: you have 10 years," um, which is a lot. But I am completing my coursework this spring. I registered last week for my last class of my PhD and have my committee all aligned, have my topic picked out, and we'll be going into the dissertation stage next summer. So very excited to hopefully be graduating in the next year and a half. All depends on how long the research takes.
Congratulations.
Thank
It's a
you.
big under. I mean, I've known several people who've gone through PhDs. It's not easy, but it's very gratifying once you're done with it. So
Yeah, it's gone by really quick, and I've learned a lot along the way, but very thankful to be where I am at in the program.
so now the people who work within your organization, I saw there under your events page, there are facilitators for each one of those sessions. Who are those?
Sure. So, one of the things that's really cool about gaming and education spaces is that there have been people doing this for quite a while. And so, and there's research to prove that. And so, what I've been doing is I've been connecting with these discrete pockets and saying, hey, you're doing some great work. Because educators I know are not recognized nearly enough for the great work that
Mhm.
they're doing. I know because I come from a family of educators. And with that, part of our mission is to raise up the voice of that great work so
Hmm.
that way they can make an impact, not just for their classroom, but for a lot of classrooms and a lot of educators
Right.
across the US. So I've been networking with different scholars and educators through different conferences like the games based learning conference, which happens in April, and other conferences, and then just also reaching out to individuals that are connected to us or reached out to us and lifting up their voice through that process. And so essentially building out the Tabletop Alliance,
Right.
in the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked in kind of in the pre-interview, but I think games in theory should be something that is taught as a regular course, in high school. And I think it even needs to start in elementary school, and maybe continue on into advanced courses in um, higher education. But maybe not games in theory. That sounds a little spy-esque, but just games in general, you know?
Yeah, and I think it can go a couple different ways, right? And so I think you have to match the educational outcomes to the level and the design of the course, right?
Right.
And so I think through that, and I think through how much of a game are we using? Are we using the actual game, like we can buy off the shelves at Target,
Hmm.
or that we see on Board Game Geek, right? Or are we cultivating a game just to stimulate an experience? May that be a role playing game, may that be a board game or a card game,
Hmm.
just to kind of give a separation between the player to learn the concept, and really live in that space, because games can create things that other educational lessons really can't.
Right.
It gives an excuse to play and have fun, but also fail while learning and then still want to get back up.
Yeah, we talked about that as well. When you look at games like D&D, it gives you the opportunity to try something and fail and be completely disassociated with that, as far as it's not you failing, it's your character failing.
Yeah, and it's really a unique space because let's face it, like high school especially, there's a lot of could be peer pressure in some of those situations, and the more that we're able to give an opportunity for that student to explore something new and lean into a new space, and really that's what learning is, right? It's being pushed,
Right.
being challenged, but being in a space that's safe enough to do so.
Mhm.
And so if we're able to make the game space safe, and them feel comfortable and confident in the rule set, then maybe they'll try something new and learn something about themselves and learn something about those concepts.
Yeah, I find that games have matured quite a bit. Even I would say even over the last 2 years, especially role playing games have really.
Hmm.
I mean, you're talking about safe spaces, safety mechanisms, all those things that are kind of being built into what I would call a session zero. Like what is off limits, what's not off limits, so that way people when they come into the game are included and don't necessarily fear something happening that they're uncomfortable with.
Yeah, and it's a really great thing. I think as a whole, the more inclusive we can make spaces, the better outcomes we're all going to have,
Hmm.
because then we're actually truly able to get the ideas to solve the problems that we have, right? If somebody's holding back that idea that could solve all the problems, right? Well, did they feel comfortable enough to share it?
Right.
And so create a comfortable space for the true identities or the
Yeah.
exploration of self is really great. And I got to commend the different inclusivity things that are going on in some of the gaming spaces, especially in the role playing game
Yeah.
community. Just very thankful for that.
Yeah, me too. It's been kind of a revelation. I mean, just over the last, what I found is, at least through my experience, is that over the last 2 years has been the biggest influx of people playing TTRPGs, creating content, exploring role playing in general, as well as other games. But the influx has been palpable over the last 2 years. So there's it's, and I don't think it's going to stop now. I think people are realizing the power of that, even in an adult's life. I've been
Yeah.
playing D&D for 30 years, and there are days where I can't distinguish one memory from the other. Was this real or wasn't? Because you that those emotions are still real.
Right, and it gives thought to what is a memory, right? And
Right.
um, there absolutely is validity in, you know what, this was an experience that my character had, but you know what, it felt so visceral that I
Right.
felt it too. And I think in the last 2 years, obviously, there's been COVID, and one of the things that has been, I think, helpful for role playing games is the ability to play it remotely, like you and I
Right.
are talking today.
Hmm.
It gave an opportunity to connect maybe when we couldn't connect in other ways. And so I'm thankful for that, and I definitely don't want to see it go away. And I also know D&D is coming out with a new edition, so there's probably going to be a push there too. I just got all the books for the other ways, but you know
Yeah,
what? Got to get
right,
a new
right.
refresh, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's really interesting about this, the aspect of COVID, as terrible as it's been, I feel like a lot of people who would not have necessarily gamed before because they didn't necessarily want the in-person physical interaction for whatever reason, have opened themselves up and opened their comfort zones up to share a space, whether it be virtual or otherwise, with a group of people and really enjoy themselves. I'm kind of proud of that. I'm proud that the community has facilitated that and accepted that, and it's become kind of just the way that we play sometimes.
I agree. And I'm thankful for the online tools that we've had developed
Mhm.
over the years that serendipitously were available to us over those last 2 years. Now, I will say on this note, though, I'm also very thankful that games exist and are becoming more mainstream, because one thing I know a lot of people I've talked to over the last couple months have encountered is that over the last 2 years, especially students have been having to recultivate, how do I connect with somebody, and really leaning in on those social emotional learning skills, and outcomes that we want them to be able to socialize and socialize appropriately and in ways that are going to bring out the best of others and themselves. And that has been a little bit of a tension spot of a lot of schools where, hey, everybody's quote unquote returning back to normal, but the students have had to relearn, hey, you know what, I haven't been in classrooms for 2 years. And so it's been a definitely thing that I've been able to help in a really good way. But I'm thankful and glad that we have games that can help facilitate that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think it's fantastic. You know, from the standpoint of what you guys are doing and what you've accomplished and what you're trying to accomplish, I think is great. I think it falls right into the way that I've always felt about games. And I think a lot of us have. Um, so from the standpoint of your organization, it's a 501c charity. And did I say that right?
Yeah.
501c. Yeah. Because I'm dyslexic, so it could be 1053. I don't know. It
There's a
comes out of
lot
my
of
mouth.
C things for nonprofits. We are a C3 charitable organization. You're absolutely correct.
So from that standpoint, if people are interested in getting involved, what can they do to help?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for first identifying that you believe in the power of games. That's checkbox one. Thank you. You're amazing. First, I would say if you're an educator or a community leader in any of those types of programs we talked about, or wanting to use games for these outcomes, first thing, just connect. You can go on over to our website, tabletopalliance.org. On there, you can connect with me. My email is Bruce at Tabletop Alliance. My email is all over the page. And then if you are wanting to use games and don't have access to games, like I have a game kit sitting at my feet right now waiting to send, and I have another RPG kit in the other room waiting to send. So if you are one of those individuals who needs support and resources, I'm happy to send those to you free of cost. So make sure to go on over to register a guild under how to get involved. But other ways you can get involved, you can sign up for a newsletter to hear about our accomplishments. And if you are in a place to donate, you can very simply do that by texting tabletop to 44321. That's 44321 and tabletop. But I'm just thankful that you believe in the power of games.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm unique in this. I felt initially kind of like a vanguard years ago. I'm glad I'm not. I'm glad I'm just one of the throngs of people who believe in it, because it's one of those things. People used to laugh when I said D&D is a great teaching tool, and as a matter of fact, for me personally, it got me out of my shell. I became a rabid reader. My math skills increased. I became more confident. You know, those are really important things. So I totally believe in the power of games, whether it be a board game or an RPG. So um, now, as far as donations, there's a donate button on the website. You can text the number, which I will have in the description below, or it may be above my head if I feel creative. So that way you can shuttle some money to a very good organization doing very good work. And it's one of those things where I felt like for years that gaming was dying, like D&D was dying. All this, there's been this resurgence, and it's just everywhere right now. And I love it, and I love the fact that you're using that as a tool to help not only educate but team build. And it's a lot of fun for me to watch. I'm very happy. If I can do anything for you, I am at your disposal. I will volunteer whatever I can do. Yeah, I'm there. I'm totally in.
Well, I thank you so much. And honestly, just spreading the word is super helpful. But I'm very thankful to have you part of the Tabletop Alliance.
Sure. Well, as a matter of fact, what I think is going to be interesting is all I do is interview creators. So if I can get those creators connected with you to maybe where they're donating some of their materials to the organization, so that way you can have more games to give other people, that might be a wonderful thing. As a matter of fact, Grace from Snowbright Studios, I'm looking at you. There's a synergy here from the educational standpoint and what you have both done already. And I can't wait to try and connect you. So that way, maybe there's something else that comes out of this.
And I'm very thankful for that in advance and
Yeah.
look forward to talking more. But
Yeah,
this has been lovely.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I'll check in on you every once in a while, make sure. And if you have something new that you want to talk to me about, I have no problem sitting down and talking about and producing a video because I think it is important. So, I thank you for devoting all this, you and your volunteers for devoting all this time. I know it's difficult to do, especially during a master's program. And also, I also know that there's money flying out of pockets to do certain things that maybe, people don't have. So donate, donate, donate. If you have something to donate, whether, can we donate games? Can we send games to you?
Absolutely, if you can donate games. So if someone's a publisher or has a stockpile of games that they're looking to offload, absolutely just get in contact with me and I'll send you our mailing address.
Perfect.
So that way you can make that happen and be happy to write a tax receipt once we receive that for
Wonderful.
your records as well.
Yeah, that's great. Because I mean, to be honest, these games ain't cheap.
That's
I
true.
mean,
And I'm very thankful for some of the relationships we've had so far with distributors,
Mhm.
ACD Alliance and Asmodee, in terms of helping us really lower that barrier for us to be able to purchase games at wholesale or better prices.
Well, and
Um,
Asmodee Research is actually running has actually run at least one of your events.
Yes. So Asmodee Research, Mikhail, who's over in Paris, France, him and I have been connecting over the last 2 years, and very thankful for a new initiative, which is games in education that they'll be launching very soon. They just hired
Wonderful.
somebody the other day. So the Asmodee Research is doing some really great work, and I'm very thankful for their support as well.
Yep. Well, that sounds fantastic. I love everything you're doing. I am 100% behind it. Whatever you need from me, let me know, and I will try and shuttle resources your direction that can help make all this stuff happen. Because again, it takes a village, right?
Yes, it does. And luckily, the gaming community is amazing. And I thank you so much for this time today.
Of course. So I can't let you off the hook just yet
Huh?
because I have my patented or not so patented lightning round.
Okay, bring it on.
And these are very hard hitting questions I'm going to ask you, and I just require that you give me an answer, whatever it is, and if you want to expound on that, you can,
Sure.
or otherwise we can just keep on moving.
All right, bring it on.
All right. So, what is your favorite board game of all time?
My favorite board game of all time at the moment is Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, I wanted to get that, and we didn't get a chance.
I recommend also adding in the expansion.
Expansions are great.
Yeah, it streamlines the combat in a really fun
Oh,
way.
gotta love that.
Yeah.
Combat can be a little grindy.
Mm-hmm.
We actually just got into a board game, Slugfest Games. They have Red Dragon Inn, and we just adore that game.
Yes. Fun little take that.
Yeah, it was. We were at Gen Con, and a buddy of mine was buying it, and we brought it back to the hotel and played it. And I went back and bought 3 because they have like 7 expansions.
Right.
But I bought 1, 3, and 5 or something. But
Plug
they're
and
awesome.
play.
Good games. So from the standpoint of games, what's your favorite role playing game? Do you have one?
Favorite role playing game? Oh my gosh. I mean, I hate to just say Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition because it's made such a profound impact. But if I had to pick something not that, I think I would go with Monster of the Week.
Never played that.
It's a really fun, think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer or others like Monster of the Week type TV shows. And it's a D6 system, so it's really easy to use. It essentially it's an easy framework for one shots.
Fantastic. Well, yeah. It could be a transitional game too. Like if you're transitioning between adventures, or you just want to do something quick, or not everybody can make it. Seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And if you're looking for a one shot, Honey Buzz.
Honey Buzz.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's a one-page RPG where you play as bears trying to capture honey.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Uh, a very controversial topic on this show is cake or pie.
Ooh. Oh, I'm gonna go with cake. And I have to be honest, when I hear pie as a New Yorker, my mind immediately goes to pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I was talking to I've talked to several people from the UK throughout these interviews, and we've always talked about meat pies, like savory pies, like
mhm.
and the US would be like a chicken pot pie or whatever. But I've always said I don't think we have enough savory pies in the United States.
I agree. Or pasties.
Pasties, yeah,
Yeah,
nice,
the turnovers, those are
nice,
so
nice
good.
reference, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, coffee or tea?
coffee, but I also love tea.
I like coffee. I like tea. Anyway, and my final one, which is always a hit, is spring or fall.
Fall.
I like fall.
Absolutely fall. Don't get me wrong, I love the weather of spring, but the fall, that nice crispness of the air,
Mhm.
and getting to enjoy some great food with family around Thanksgiving, and just have a lot of great memories of the fall.
Yeah. Well, you're in Texas, yes?
Yeah, yes.
No
now,
fall
but
for you.
No fall here. It was cold last week at 60, but I've lived all over the U.S. and I've been thankful enough to travel to all 7 continents in my life. And fall's been
Wow,
just a really
good for
good
you.
time. Yeah, well, I'm just thankful for it.
Yeah, yeah.
It really brought in perspectives, and getting to experience weather in a couple of those places, fall's where it's at for me.
That's fantastic. Well, Bruce, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for spending time with me. And I am at your disposal whatever you need, and I'll try and connect you with creators that I deal with, so that way maybe there's some synergy there.
And Mike, thank you so much for taking the time today, and for all the support. And I look forward to talking soon.
Absolutely. Take care.